Hello, today's Pokemon review is on Arcanine. This is the battle feature figure by JAZWARES / Wicked Cool Toys, and this is what it does. Arcanine retails for $9.99 and this battle feature line has figures up to 4.5 inches in size. Now on the back we see the other figures released alongside the Arcanine, including Scizor and Snorlax, both of which I've done reviews on, so go and check those out. And if you don't want to miss out on any of my Pokemon toy reviews, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know exactly when I upload. Let's have a more detailed look at Arcanine with a 360-degree spin. First impressions are I'm really liking the look of this Arcanine figure. I especially like the size of it, and the only other Arcanine I have of this size is the Pokemon Scale World version, and I will be comparing the two later on in the video. So the battle feature of this Arcanine includes this fire projectile, so you can see it's coloured yellow on the end to mimic some flames, and it's very similar to the projectile that came with the Charizard battle feature figure. So you can see the Charizard projectile is orange and the Arcanine is red. Charizard's is also slightly thicker but shorter than the Arcanine's. But you can see from the ends of these that they're both using the same mechanism, so they both have the same battle feature. So the way the battle feature works is, you have to put the fire projectile into the Arcanine's mouth, and once you put it in you want to wait for a click sound. And that means that the projectile is ready to be fired. So this is what Arcanine looks like with the projectile already in. And then on its back we get this button, and once you click on that button the projectile will fire. So let's see how that looks. That was super quick, let's slow that down a bit. So you can see the battle feature is pretty easy to do. It's pretty easy to reload the projectile and fire it. The only issue I see with this is you get only one projectile, and when you fire it, it does go pretty far. So if you manage to lose the projectile, then you're not going to be able to use this battle feature until you refine that projectile. So I always like to test the battle feature onto the Ash battle feature figure to see if it works and how effective it is. So as you can see, when I fired it onto the Ash didn't topple over. That means that there's not much power generated with this feature, because it doesn't take a lot to take down this unstable Ash figure. And that's probably a good thing, because you don't want to put too much power into a feature like this, because it's going to go into the hands of kids, and too much power could be dangerous. So if I line up Ash straight in front of the Arcanine, maybe we can take him down. So this time Ash did go down, but he still toppled over onto his face rather than toppling back. So it still shows that there isn't that much power. But as you can see, every time I've shot the battle feature onto the Ash, I have always hit the target. And that's because it's really easy to line up and aim with the battle feature. So the Charizard battle feature figure has the exact same feature as Arcanine, but I did notice that the Charizard is slightly more powerful, and I really like with the Charizard, when you're actually using the battle feature, you have to push down on the figure and he opens his mouth before he fires, and then back into its neutral position it closes its mouth, so it has the ability to open and close its mouth. And it looks really cool when it's firing out the projectile, whereas with the Arcanine you have a permanent open mouth just for the battle feature. So overall I think the battle feature works better on the Charizard figure. The paintwork on this figure is really nice. they've done a really good job with the paintwork around the face. So you can see there's no blemishes around the eyes, the nose, or the paintwork within the mouth. Moving on to the body, you can see they've painted on all the black stripes, and again there's no blemishes on them either. And those black stripes go all the way around the body of the figure. The mane itself is not painted in, it's just a different coloured plastic. Now underneath the figure we get the copyright information, and it does say Wicked Cool Toys there, and I don't think we'll get that for much longer because the company is trying to transition from being called Wicked Cool Toys into JAZWARES. Sculpt of the figure is really nice as well. This is a really good likeness to the Arcanine character. The only negative with this sculpt is the permanent open mouth, and it's mainly like that because the battle feature requires the mouth to be open. Now I would have much preferred the ability to open and close the mouth. Now when I first got the figure I didn't think there was anything wrong with the tail, but as I'll show you later, the tail is actually way smaller than it should be. 4 points of articulation on the figure. They're all in the legs and they're all on swivel joints. So the front leg here is one straight piece and it goes around this far back before it's stopped by the body section, and then it goes around this far forward before it gets stopped by the mane. Moving on to the back leg, you can see again a swivel joint and it goes about this far forward before being stopped by the body, and then about this far back. So not a lot of range there. Moving on to the other leg, it has very similar to the first leg. It moves this far back and not a lot forward. Moving on to the other front leg, you can see this one is slightly different as it has a bend in the elbow, but in terms of movement it can move this far forward, again being stopped by the mane, and about this far back. Despite these 4 points of articulation, the figure can only really stand in its default stance. Once you start moving around the limbs, you can see the figure loses balance, and one of the legs is always in the air. So when you try to position the figure in different stances, it just doesn't look natural anymore. And the only way to rectify something like this is to add more points of articulation. So in this figure, if we had articulation in the paws, in the elbows, or in the knees, then we wouldn't have had this problem. I'm really hoping that in future battle feature figures that JAZWARES release, that they start to add more and more points of articulation, because more points of articulation is always going to be a good thing. So here's a comparison of the Arcanine alongside the Pokemon Scale World Arcanine, which is a 1/20th scale figure. The JAZWARES Arcanine's body is actually bigger than the Scale World, but overall both figures are the same size due to the massive tail on the Scale World version. I didn't really realise how big Arcanine's tail is supposed to be until I saw the official pictures, which confirmed that the Scale World is actually accurate with the size of the tail. Other than the tail, you can see the Scale World also has bigger fur sections around the legs, and there's much more detail in the fur of the mane in the Scale World figure. So it's obvious that the superior Arcanine figure is the Scale World version. However, that's expected because the Scale World version retails for around $50, and if you add in shipping that goes up to $60, which is 5 to 6 times more than the $10 JAZWARES Arcanine. So in terms of value for money, the JAZWARES is by far the superior Arcanine figure, and if you're not able to get hold of the exclusive Scale World Arcanine figure, then the JAZWARES version is a more than adequate alternative to it, and it doesn't even look out of place alongside other Scale World figures. Arcanine stands at 3.5 inches tall to the top of the head, and he's about 2.25 inches in length, and then to the end of the tail he's about 4.5 inches. So that concludes my review of the JAZWARES Arcanine Battle Feature figure. Overall, I think this is an excellent looking Arcanine figure. You will not get a better Arcanine figure of this size at this price point, so I highly recommend anyone to pick it up for their Pokemon collections. Like always, I'm not the biggest fan of the actual battle feature, and I would have liked to have seen more points of articulation in it, but it's still an amazing looking Arcanine figure. The other new battle feature figure that came out alongside the Arcanine was the Pangoro figure, so I will be reviewing the Pangoro figure next, and if you don't want to miss out on that review, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know exactly when it's uploaded. If you liked that video, hit the thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more Pokemon toy reviews, hit that subscribe button now. Now go back and watch all my other videos, and I will see you all next time. Bye.